Okay, so let's dive straight in today. We're unpacking 5 really impactful sources, starting right off with the feature section, looking at AI and jobs.
Yeah, it's everywhere, isn't it? This tension around AI.
Exactly. That fear, our machine's going to replace us,
Yeah.
versus, well, maybe they just help us do things better.
And this first source really gets into that. It's not just abstract theory anymore, especially somewhere like Bengaluru.
Right? The article calls it a major AI hub. What was it, over 100,000 AI professionals?
Yeah, and one of the top 5 AI ecosystems globally. It's significant.
And the state government there, Karnataka, they're actually surveying the workforce impact.
Uh-huh. Which shows they're taking it seriously, trying to figure out policy for this, well, pretty multidimensional issue.
And you can see why. There's this example in the piece, a hospital.
Oh, yeah, the invoice digitization system.
That's the one. The guy running it, VJ, he said AI cut down the human work needed by like 50%.
Wow, 50%.
But, and this is the key part, I think he made a point of saying no one has been laid off. People were only repurposed.
Repurpose. That's the word we keep hearing.
Although he did admit, it might affect how many people they hire down the line.
Right. So it shifts the problem, maybe? It's not
Yeah,
immediate displacement, but future opportunities.
could be. And it's not just that one hospital. There's another example, an accounting firm consultant, HEMA.
Mm-hmm. She talked about the coders.
Yeah, apparently they were very upbeat about AI tools because they were stretched thin, resource crunches and all that.
So AI actually eased their workload. It solved a problem they already had.
Exactly. But then you zoom out, right? And the scale is massive.
Totally. The UN thinks the global AI market could hit, what, $4.8 trillion by 2033?
Huge numbers.
Mm.
But at the same time, there's that other UN report, UNCTAD.
Yeah, the warning signal. Predicting AI could impact 40% of jobs globally.
40%. And widen inequality, too.
So you have this real push and pull. Massive growth potential, but also serious disruption fears.
And those fears aren't unfounded. I mean, you hear Amazon's CEO, Andy Jassy, talking about a smaller corporate workforce.
And they've had those big layoff numbers, what, 27,000 since 2022?
Exactly. That certainly feeds the anxiety. But then on the flip side, you've got people like Guru Prasad Mutlapur from Bosch.
Right. His perspective is quite different.
He thinks we'll all become AI-augmented humans. Believes the net outcome will actually be positive.
Which is optimistic. But it begs the question, what does being AI augmented actually mean for skills?
That's the core of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you actually need to know or do?
Well, Mutlapur says it's a massive shift. You need high digital literacy, obviously, but also AI and machine learning skills, even if you're not in a tech role per se.
Even in non-tech roles.
Yeah. And there's this paradox in Bengaluru, he points out. Loads of AI-ready talent, broadly speaking,
Right.
but a real shortage of the specialist talent, the people who can actually build the complex AI model.
Oh, okay. Which is why he mentions India hasn't built its own GPT equivalent yet.
Exactly. So universities have a huge role to play here, bridging that gap.
It's good to see there are initiatives trying to address this, though. The Karnataka government has its NIPUNA skilling program,
Uh-huh. And companies are stepping up, too.
like Emphasis. Their guy, Ravi Vasantraj, talks about actively repurposing people.
With hyper-personalized training, right, like
Right.
moving Java folks to React or Node.js.
Yeah. He has that great analogy, AI as an intelligent assist, like JARVIS for Tony Stark.
I like that. And SAP Labs India is doing similar things, curated learning journeys.
They said half their employees are already AI-enabled, completed something like 35,000 courses.
That's serious investment, and you see it reflected in hiring trends, too. The Naukri JobSpeak report,
Yeah, showed a 25% year-on-year jump in AML hiring in India.
which supports Vasantraj's view that AI will create more than it will alter. He thinks it could multiply demand, maybe tenfold.
Tenfold. Wow. He also mentioned unlocking tech debt.
Yeah, that's basically the cost of sticking with old, inefficient tech. He puts a figure on it, $1.9 trillion. AI could help tackle that.
That's a huge potential upside. But there's a counter-argument too, right, from that project manager, Ratika.
Right. She paints a less rosy picture. Immense pressure on the AI teams.
Big investments, not always paying off in efficiency or profits.
Exactly. And she suggests maybe only the coding assistance part is really working well so far.
And allegations that companies are just using it to squeeze more out of existing staff,
Mm-hmm.
or customer service bots actually lowering satisfaction.
Yeah, those are important counterpoints. It's not all smooth sailing.
And then there's the India-specific context
Mm-hmm.
that Professor Balaji Parthasarathi.
From Third Bangalore, yeah, his argument is interesting.
He says AI's impact plays out differently in India because labor is cheaper, more readily available.
And regulations might be less strictly enforced sometimes.
So unlike in the US, maybe Amazon warehouses in India don't automate as much because manual labor is still cost-effective?
That's his point. It underlines that AI adoption isn't just about technology, it's economics and context, too. It's highly sector-specific.
Critical for precision work or hazardous jobs, sure. Easy automation for routine tasks.
But mostly, it's about augmenting humans, not wholesale replacement.
So who is most vulnerable then?
Mudlapur points to those repetitive manual skills, basic coding, invoice processing, accounting, research assistance,
Mid-skilled white-collar roles.
especially if they lack deep domain expertise. He thinks even if AI helps write code faster, for example, the real value shifts
Go on.
to using that freed up time for more complex, high-value work, which means, people really need to upskill or reskill. It's a shakeup.
Ravi Vasantraj, the emphasis guy, seems less worried about the immediate IT sector anxieties, though.
Yeah, he sort of sees it as the usual churn with new tech, thinks recent layoffs are more about the wider economy.
But he does have bigger worries.
Oh, yeah. Regulation, responsible AI, data breaches, and that scary combo.
AI plus quantum computing.
He calls it JARVIS with Thanos, which is quite a visual.
Definitely gets the point across. So, think about all this. What does it actually mean for your career listening to this? What skills might you need next? How do we all navigate this future where maybe every job becomes AI augmented in some way?
That's the crucial takeaway, isn't it? Something we all need to think about. And this interplay between tech and society extends way beyond jobs. It's reshaping geopolitics, too.
Which brings us neatly to our editorial section and a really interesting shift in U.S. policy on AI controls.
Exactly. But first, there's this piece looking at West Asia's future post-conflict.
Right. Our second source, focusing on Iran, Israel, and the U.S., after that announced ceasefire between Israel and Iran. It's trying to map out what comes next after everything that kicked off October 7th, 2023.
Yeah, the article frames it as the aftermath of a, horror drama. It details what it calls the IDF's spectacular, though Pyrrhic military victories.
Pyrrhic meaning costly.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Victories, yes, Hamas decimated, Hezbollah neutered, Syria's regime changed, Houthis cowed, Iran's nuclear path obliterated, according to the article. Iran took some big strategic hits.
But the author, Mahesh Sakdev, warns about the next phase, doesn't he?
He does. He says the big challenge now is controlling the blowback and avoiding revanchism, basically preventing future cycles of revenge.
Especially since all the main players, Iran, Israel, the U.S., are kind of claiming victory in their own way.
Which complicates things massively, and Iran is central to this whole picture.
Most populous country in that immediate region, Israel's biggest foe, a major disruptor.
Right. Still a key geostrategic player despite all the sanctions. And while the victors might say they don't want regime change.
An unrepentant government in Tehran feels like unfinished agenda. Is that the phrase used?
Yeah. So the U.S. and Israel are still laser-focused on keeping Iran's WMD ambitions in check. Sanctions, inspections.
The article draws a parallel to Iraq after the first Gulf War.
It does. And there's this underlying concern about Iran potentially becoming a countervailing pole to the Pax Americana.
A challenge to U.S. dominance, essentially.
Exactly, which leads to this huge dilemma for the U.S. Ideally, they'd want a West-leaning government in Tehran. Think oil control, market access, curbing proxies.
But how do you achieve that?
Yeah.
The article points out the population might resist foreign interference.
Plus, the U.S. track record with forced regime change like Afghanistan or Iraq isn't great, and destabilizing Iran could lead to chaos like Libya or Sudan.
So what's the suggested path?
The article calls the best possible scenario a sort of slow glacial reorientation of the current regime, putting pressure on the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei.
He's 86 now, been in power 36 years.
Right. And there's uncertainty about his succession. Two frontrunners mention Mojtaba Khamenei and Hassan Khamenei, but it's really uncharted waters.
Now what about Gaza? The article doesn't sound optimistic there.
No, it calls the Israel-Palestine situation even more convoluted. Talks about the terrible humanitarian crisis, starvation, the death toll, plus things getting worse in the West Bank.
Mentions that old Trump idea of an international Riviera for Gaza.
Briefly, yeah, but dismisses it as pretty unlikely now.
And for Israel itself, what's the outlet?
More pressure. Demands for hostage releases to intensify, lots of scrutiny over the government's actions and intelligence failures. Netanyahu's trial might resume.
Plus the long-term economic and social costs.
Huge costs. And the article suggests that for the Abraham Accords, those normalization deals to expand, Israel needs a political reset towards moderation.
Makes sense. The overall message seems to be that the whole region desperately needs peace and stability.
Exactly. Avoiding triumphalism, focusing on moderation, nation building, that benefits everyone. Lower oil prices, smoother trade, less radicalization.
A lot riding on cooler heads prevailing. Now, shifting focus slightly, but still on that global stage, America's AI strategy.
Yeah, our third source talks about a pretty significant U-turn. The U.S. has actually rescinded its framework for AI diffusion.
That was their plan for controlling AI exports, right?
It was,
Right.
but it seems they realized it was counterproductive.
Why was it flawed? What was the original thinking?
The basic idea was to treat AI like, say, nuclear tech. Strict export controls on the most powerful chips, the model weights, basically trying to block China and Russia.
And the logic was that computing power is the key bottleneck for advanced AI.
That was the rationale, yeah. Control the compute, control the AI capability, maintain the U.S. lead.
But it backfired.
Pretty badly, according to this analysis. It set a concerning precedent for allies, kind of telling them how to manage their tech.
Which might make allies want to develop their own independent capabilities. Hedging our bets.
Exactly. Plus, treating AI, which has tons of civilian uses, purely as a military technology wasn't great for innovation.
And did it even work in stopping others?
Well, crucially, it spurred others to find workarounds, to develop powerful AI without needing the absolute cutting-edge compute.
Like that Chinese model mentioned, DeepSeek R1, rivaling U.S. models with less power.
Precisely. It forced innovation and efficiency, which, the article notes, was actually good news for countries like India that felt restricted by the original framework.
So the old framework is gone. But the U.S. still wants to limit China's access to AI chips.
Oh, absolutely. The intent hasn't changed, just the tactics.
So what are the new tactics?
They're apparently considering things like building features directly into the chips, on-chip features, to monitor how they're used, maybe even restrict them.
Like location tracking built into AI chips.
That's one idea mentioned. So instead of trade rules, they're trying to enforce control technologically.
That sounds complicated and potentially worrying.
Definitely raises new issues. Ownership, privacy, massive surveillance potential.
And could it backfire again?
Yeah.
Malicious actors might just disable these features anyway.
That's a risk, and legitimate users might be put off, creating trust deficits. Allies might feel, once again, that they need to reduce their reliance on U.S. tech.
So the conclusion is, this isn't really a fundamental strategy shift, just different methods.
Pretty much. A change in tactics, but maybe risking the same negative outcomes, potentially even hurting U.S. leadership in AI in the long run.
It really makes you think, how will this complex dance around technology control play out globally? Affecting power balances, individual freedoms, who actually gets to control the future of tech?
A massive question with no easy answers. Okay, so from global tech strategy, let's bring it closer to home, in a way. We're moving to our text section, looking first at history, controversy, and archaeology in India.
Right, the fourth source is about the Keeladi excavation site in Tamil Nadu, unearthing a civilization, sparking a controversy.
And it kicks off with the latest development. The archaeologist who started it all, K. Amarnath Ramakrishna, has been transferred.
And the Archaeological Survey of India, the ASI, wants him to revise his huge report on the findings.
Yeah, a 982-page report. They're asking for revisions.
Let's back up a bit. Remind us what Keeladi is, why it's important.
So Ramakrishna started digging at this site, Palachantai Tidal in Keeladi, near the Vaigai River, and they found amazing stuff.
Like what?
Over 7,500 artifacts. Complex buildings, drainage systems, wells, clear evidence of a sophisticated urban society.
And the dating was the crucial part, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Carbon dating put it older than 2,160 years. So 2nd century BCE, placing it firmly in the Sangam period, a key era in Tamil history.
But there was a surprise finding, too.
A big one. The archaeologists were apparently stunned because they found no evidence of religious symbols.
Hinting at a possibly secular society back then.
Exactly. Which caused a lot of initial excitement, but then the controversy started.
When was this? 2007?
Around then, yeah. Ramakrishna got transferred to Assam right when the digs were really getting interesting.
And that led to accusations.
Big time. claims that the central government was deliberately derailing the project, delaying funding. Political tension flared up in Tamil Nadu about suppressing Tamil heritage.
And didn't a later excavation phase under someone else report less continuity?
Yeah, that added to the confusion. Eventually, the Madras High Court had to step in.
What did they rule?
They told the ASI to keep digging, but also allowed the Tamil Nadu State Department of Archaeology to get involved too.
And the State Department came up with even older dates.
They did. Their 2019 report suggested the settlement went back to the 6th century BCE, lasting until the 1st century CE.
Which makes the ASI's recent demand for Ramakrishna to revise his report even more contentious.
Right. ASI is questioning the dating and the depth of the initial findings, saying they appeared to be very early.
But Ramakrishna is refusing to revise.
Standing his ground. He says his findings are scientifically solid based on stratigraphy, the artifacts themselves, and advanced dating methods like AMS.
Accelerator mass spectrometry. That's pretty precise, isn't it?
Very precise for carbon dating. So his refusal has triggered, well, predictable political outrage in Tamil Nadu.
Parties calling it a blatant attempt to suppress Tamil heritage, arguing it's politics over science.
That's the narrative. The Union Minister for Culture pushed back, saying more scientific validation is needed. Even the AIADMK party, initially quiet, eventually protested.
So it really boils down to a clash of narratives.
That's how the article frames it. Scientific validation versus historical recognition and, let's be honest, regional pride. Meanwhile, the state government is pushing ahead with more digs and a new museum.
Fascinating intersection of science, history, and politics. Okay, finally, our fifth source shifts to public health, a really serious investigation.
Yeah, this one's quite alarming. Defective cancer drugs. It's based on work by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism published in The Hindu.
And the headline finding is stark. Cancer drugs shipped to over 100 countries failed quality tests.
100 countries. That's huge reach. And these aren't just any drugs, they're chemotherapy agents.
Maybe quickly explain chemotherapy.
Sure. Cancer is basically uncontrolled cell growth. Chemo drugs are designed to disrupt that process, kill off the rapidly dividing cancer cells.
And this investigation looked at 6 specific chemo drugs.
That's right. Cisplatin, oxaliplatin, cyclophosphamide, doxorubicin, methotrexate, and also leucovorin.
Are these common drugs?
Very common, widely used. Cisplatin, for example, is platinum-based, discovered way back in the 60s, effective for several cancers like testicular, ovarian, bladder, lung.
But it has our side effects.
Oh yeah. Severe nausea, kidney damage, hearing problems, bone marrow suppression, which makes patients vulnerable to infection. Oxaliplatin is similar, used a lot for colorectal cancer.
And the others?
Cyclophosphamide hits cancer cell DNA, used for breast cancer, leukemia, lymphomas, again, risk of low white blood cells, bladder issues. Doxorubicin, they call it the red devil.
Why?
Partly its color, partly its severe side effects. Potential heart damage is a major concern, plus infection risk, skin issues, hair loss. It's used for breast cancer, leukemia, lymphoma, too.
Methotrexate.
That one stops cells making new DNA. Used for leukemia, lymphoma, often in high doses. And leucovorin isn't actually chemo itself.
What is it?
It's a form of vitamin B9, folinic acid. It's given alongside methotrexate specifically to help manage its side effects. A companion drug.
So the core issue here is that these powerful drugs, which already have severe side effects even when they work perfectly.
Exactly. Are failing basic quality tests. That's the critical finding. It means they might not be effective or could even be harmful in unexpected ways.
Which is incredibly dangerous for patients already battling cancer.
It's a massive public health concern. People are undergoing these really tough treatments, and the drugs themselves might be compromised. It undermines the whole point of the therapy.
It really highlights potential failures in the medical supply chain, doesn't it? With global consequences.
Absolutely. The scale over 100 countries is staggering. It points to a need for much better oversight and quality control.
So reflecting on these last 2 pieces, what steps can you as a listener take to stay informed about critical things like medical supply chains? And how do we, as a society, make sure historical truths aren't buried by political winds? It really pushes us to ask, how do we effectively demand transparency and accountability for both our health and our history? Thank you for listening. If today's episode gave you something useful, consider following us on Spotify so you're the first to hear the next one. You can give suggestions by contacting on Twitter handle given in the episode description. We are always eager to hear what our listeners want to be informed about. We wish you a great day.